It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Now, I'm the president of Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting, and you can find a link to my work at emailrevealer.com. That's where you can go and purchase an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. By the way, I noticed book sales are down lately. Okay, I keep an eye on these things. And even if you don't want to become a private investigator, there's a lot of stuff in there for the average person, too. Just, how to locate people and things like that. How to understand databases when you go to, use those database searches online, to how to understand to use them and how they work and stuff like that. There's a lot of good stuff in there, even if you don't want to become a private investigator. Plus, also, too, the first chapter is a little short bio of my life. I know a lot of people like that. People are fascinated to dig up secrets about me. I seem to be fascinated with that. Emailrevealer.com. Also, too, if you go there and let's say you think your spouse is cheating on you, you give us their email address. We trace it back to online dating websites. We catch them cheating online. Adoption investigations, locates, asset searches. I can say it. Asset searches. Anybody can say that. Try and say it 3 times. Okay. So that's emailrevealer.com. Hey, and this show, everybody knows. When you think Opperman Report, what do you think of? You think of Get the Tea, getthetea.com. Life Change Tea. Now, I have been doing the Daniel fast now. It'll be, boosh. It was like 28 days. It was 28 days on Monday. So 28, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Plus 4 is 32 days. 32 days I've been on this Daniel fast. The Daniel fast is from the Bible. You don't need any bread or meat or white rice. Just fruit, nuts, vegetables. So you make a lot of black bean soup, a lot of salads, stir fries, a staple. Beans, you put beans in everything. Okay. Just tonight, I made some delicious veggie pasta with a marsala sauce, with mushrooms and a marsala wine and the shallots in there. Oh, it was so good. Now, usually you make a marsala sauce on top of veal or chicken or something like that, but, just on top of pasta, and it was very, very good. So that's the Daniel fast for you, right? No alcohol, no sugar, no coffee. And it's supposed to be 21 days, but I'm feeling so good. I've gone, extended. I'm doing it 38 days now. And I've also been, and I'm telling you, this is all due to the tea. Because I wake up in the morning, I have a glass of that Life Change tea. You don't crave any coffee. You have energy. It helps your digestion. It helps your complexion, helps you lose weight. Helps you feel good, I remember when I was drinking a little too much wine and potato juice. I was drinking potato juice occasionally. But you drink that tea the next day, you don't really have any hangover problems, So, started swimming about 2 weeks ago. Not 2 weeks. It was even longer than that. I'd say it's been about 3 weeks, I guess. But last Friday, if you remember, I told you I swam a mile, 66 laps, or lengths, 66 lengths in the pool. And today, Friday, next week, I swam 80 lengths. And I could have kept going, okay, which would be like a mile and a quarter. And I could have kept going. I could have done at least another 10, 15 lengths. But the pool closed. They closed the pool. So they had to kick me out of there, kicking and screaming. I had to fight them off, trying to keep swimming more laps. But they dove in. We had a struggle. We had those lifeguards. My daughter Vic was a junior lifeguard a couple of years back. So now I know all the behind-the-scenes stuff that goes on there, so I don't like to give them a hard time. Anyway, I cannot recommend to you enough getthetea.com and the Life Change Tea. But besides the Life Change Tea, is they got all kinds of supplements on there and herbal remedies and all kinds of things. Wonderful stuff, getthetea.com. I was talking to Ronnie from getthetea.com, and he tells me that sales are low. And I says, how could that be? I says, I talk about this tea. I love this tea. I'm digging this tea real good. I tell everybody I meet about this tea. I'm getting my hair cut, whatever. I tell everybody about the tea. And he says, oh, yeah, sales are low. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to negotiate a better rate. Maybe that's it. But I just hope he doesn't stop advertising, because then I wouldn't get the free tea. And that would be a huge disappointment. I'd hate to have to go to the hole into my bank account, dip into my own pockets here, and pay for my own tea. That would be outrageous. But I can't recommend this tea to you enough. Okay, let's move on, Ed. You and this damn tea. Okay, we've heard enough of this tea. This Thursday, if you're in the Las Vegas area, Nina Turner is going to be in town. And she's helping out with a local candidate for a congressional district, CD4, Amy Villela. You remember Amy Villela? I had her on the show a couple of times. Wonderful woman who she's running for Congress now because our sitting congressman, she went to him and tried to approach him about the healthcare system here in Nevada, and he just poo-pooed her and ignored her. And she says, I'm not taking this standing and sitting down. So she's running for his seat, and he had to vacate his seat because of a sexual harassment scandal. Mr. Cohen, okay, Mr. Handsome Cohen there, got a little too handsy with his handsomeness, and they had to run him out of office there. So Amy's going to step right in and take over the joint. She's formerly a CFO. She's has business experience, a very accomplished woman, but she has a heart and a passion. She's a Bernie-crat. And Nina Turner's in town helping her out, and there's going to be a rally on Thursday, April 26th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 912 West Owens Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89106. That's right at the Amy Villela for Congress headquarters. If you come down, you'll meet me. I'll be there. My daughter will be there. Everybody likes to meet us. Vic actually volunteers for Amy Villela. Full disclosure here, we don't hear that report. But you can enjoy great neighborhood food, entertainment, politics, and the political revolution continues to spread through NV04, which is Nevada District 04. And there's going to be a full speaking lineup. And hopefully I'm going to get an interview with Amy Villela coming up prior to this big occasion here. And we'll do that. But show up there and you meet the old Ed Opperman there, Put on the gloves. You can. And what, you guys don't want to fight me and threaten me? Let's do it. Let's get this over with, man. I'm ready to fight. I've been training. Okay. Oh, what's going on here in the old Ed Opperman's personal life? Everybody loves to hear about that. They love to hear the two main emails, questions I get when I at the Opperman Report Gmail account or the contact us button there at theoppermanreport.com. One is, Ed, are you still doing a Daniel Fast? How's the Daniel Fast going? I just told you about that. And the other one is, Ed, how's Victoria? Years ago, I used to have Victoria. She used to come on here, my daughter Victoria. And tonight, Victoria is at the prom. She's at the junior prom. She dumped her old boyfriend, who listens to the show still, by the way. Hey, Alex, nice if you're listening. My almost son-in-law, he's on the outs. He's on the way out. And a new kid's on the way in, and she has a date with this young man, very fine young man. And, guess what else, man? Vic was chosen for the, what's it called? The World School National Debate. She's going to the national debates for World School, which is it's a different kind of a thing than the debating program she's in now, but she was picked for this. She had to audition for it. And she's going to shine in this, too, because you do it on the fly. There's no preparation in advance. You just have like 15 minutes to prepare. And she's great at that. She's great at doing research. She does research and stuff for Amy Villela. My kid. I love my kid. So tonight's the prom for her. And great news, she's going to be going down to Disney World in Orlando, Florida, to do this debate, the World School Debate. She's going to be debating down there. Very good. And also, too, we're pretty sure she's gonna win the president of the debate team, too, coming up. Oh, look at this. We got a commercial break coming up. No, we got another 10 minutes. Okay, great. Okay, here we go. Name of tonight's show is, What Do They Think We're Stupid? What do they think we're stupid? Honestly, do they think we're stupid? That's my question of the night. And I think they think we're stupid. Now, well, you know what? I take that back. They don't think I'm stupid, but they think some of you are stupid. Okay? And who am I talking about? I'm talking about Michael Cohen and Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity. Oh, what a wonderful man, Sean Hannity. I listen to Sean Hannity, okay, on the radio when I'm driving around. comes on the radio, I'll listen to him because the guy is so full of it. Okay? He's so full of it. But I listen to him for comedy. I don't believe a word this man says. He's going on and on. Oh, I've got evidence about Comey. Goes on and repeats the same BS day after day after day with no shame. Not a hint of shame. You'd think he'd be blushing. You'd think all the blood would rush from his face. You know, but no. Not Sean Hannity. He can look you right in the eye and lie to you. And we know that for a fact because he just did it this week. Okay, if you're a fan of Sean Hannity and you believe Sean Hannity and you believe all the stuff Sean Hannity tells you about Comey and Mueller and all this stuff like that and the investigation, if you believe, and all his crap, release the memo, once they release the memo, and who was that guy, Kim.com, oh, we're going to have Kim.com on the show because Kim.com has information, he was talking to Seth Rich, BS, ton of BS, made up. I told you that Kim.com was full of it. Didn't I tell you that? Oh, man, I'm upset already. It's not even 19 minutes into the show. Oh, by the way, too, I got to apologize. Listen, I'm so sorry for people who listen live. I'm sorry that the first 2 hours of the show, I began late. We had a little dead air there. I really apologize for that. Every now and then, when I'm working on a serious, I'm a private investigator by trade, how I make a living. And if I have a really serious report that I need a deadline for, I have to bring in help. I have to bring somebody in here to help me, okay? Because there's a lot of little logistic things that have to be done. Things have to be done correctly, and stacks of paper stacked all over the place, and you'd be shocked what goes into one of my official reports. And I'm working on something pretty serious. This guy's is in prison for 4 years. I'm trying to get him out, and it's a pretty serious deal with the parole board and stuff. And I'm working on this thing for him. And so I had to bring in some help. And I got this wonderful girl, Maddie, who helps me out from time to time. She's a new girl. She's been helping me. Wonderful, beautiful girl. Smart as a whip. And she's so nice and pleasant to have around. It's a real pleasure to have her around. But she made me late, okay, because I had to give her a ride because she had another appointment, and I had to zip her back to her neighbor over there on the other side of the tracks and get back here in time to do the show, and I got stuck in traffic. So that's why I'm late. But back to Sean Hannity, right? Good Catholic boy, Sean Hannity. Now, he don't lie to me, okay? But if you're a follower of Sean Hannity, and you believe what he has to say, he's lying to you. And he just lied to you on Monday. Okay? Now, what am I talking about? Michael Cohen. Trump's a longtime attorney and fixer. Goes on the talk shows and defends Trump. Got himself into a spot of trouble. Okay? Got himself into a spot of trouble there with those Stormy Daniels. And we got this Michael Hannity, Pitbull character running around. And full disclosure, again, I'll tell you some more full disclosure here, is that this, the Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, their first agent and their first attorney were Gina Rodriguez, who was my agent for many, many years. And we're sort of becoming friends again. We had a little falling out. And then her attorney was Keith Davidson, who was my attorney, and he's an attorney that I refer many, many clients over to, and we've worked on many, many cases and jobs. Gina got me the Tiger Woods thing. She got me on Dr. Drew. She was booking all of Dr. Drew. I did a whole show about this a couple weeks back. She booked everybody. She did a show about the Mama June, not to hot. So full disclosure, I know the people involved in it. In fact, I was talking about this Stormy Daniels thing since June 16th. June 2016. I knew all about this, okay? And I talked about it on the air. And I didn't mention anybody's names, but I told you the story that these women were Playboy playmates and porn stars were coming forward with pictures of them with Trump, and they were trying to sell the stories, and they were being covered up. I told you this. There's a little more I could tell you, but I can't tell you, okay? But I'm clued into all this. But anyway, so Michael Cohen catches himself in some trouble, finds himself in the old jackpot, because he's involved with this hush deal with Stormy Daniels and shenanigans, and then Mueller Mueller referred it to the Southern District of New York, okay? Federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, where Giuliani came out of, and they raid Michael Cohen's office. They take copies of his computer, his cell phones, take records, boxes, and I think it was like 13 boxes of records. And he objects. He says, what? This is attorney-client material. It turns out he's only got 3 clients. One is Donald Trump. Everybody knew about that, right? And then and we did a whole show about attorney-client privilege last week. And the other one, this guy, Boise or something, I think is Brosey, who was, we know he represented Trump in this hush-hush deal with Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. But then this other Brody guy, Boise, who was a head honcho over there at the RNC, he represented him as well. And that was another hush-hush deal where he gave a girl $1.5 million. $1.5 million. Some Playboy model that he was paying to date. And his third client is none other than Sean Hannity. Well, you know, remember you used to watch Sesame Street and they would have that thing, one of these things is just like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Right? Okay. So if you got 3 clients and 2 of them are involving sexual improprieties that you need to pay off to keep it silent, and the third client, well, what could he be? What? Why would he need that lawyer who specializes in that type of negotiation? Well, we don't know because it's the attorney. That's secret. It's the attorney-client privilege. Now, I want to go on the record here and say something. The judge ruled on Friday last week. The judge says, when you come back Monday, I want you to tell me the names of all your clients, okay? And Michael Cohen's attorney came back Monday. He hemmed and he hawed and he tried to get out of doing it. And he says, well, the third client is a famous man, and he told us that he doesn't want his name made public. That's what Michael Cohen's attorney said in court, right? So that would mean, if he's telling the truth, that Sean Hannity knew before Monday that his name would possibly be mentioned in court. Because according to Michael Cohen's attorney, he was requesting for the judge, I think he even filed a motion, that this client doesn't want his name made public. Now, I think the judge ruled that he had to make his name public, okay? And I think the judge made the wrong decision, okay? Because I think that is it should be part of attorney-client privilege. It should be kept private. What attorneys I go and speak to and consult with, and what attorneys I hire. Let's say I were to hire a divorce attorney, and my wife doesn't know, or my children don't know. Would I want that made public? Of course not. I want to, and it's our right to be able to consult with the attorney of our choice in private. Okay? If I consult with a bankruptcy attorney, what if I'm a hedge fund operator, or I'm an investment broker, or a real estate investor, and I'm consulting with a bankruptcy attorney? If that gets out in the public, that could damage my reputation, could damage my business. What if I'm consulting with a criminal defense attorney? Well, what did I do that he needs a criminal? Maybe I did do something. Okay. Then maybe I don't want everybody knowing about it. So isn't it better I can go talk to my lawyer in private about it than have it broadcast all over the TV? So I think the judge made the wrong decision. But the judge is not a liar like Sean Hannity is a liar. See, the judge did what she did in open court, in honesty and truth, unlike Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity didn't lie to me, because I already know Sean Hannity's a liar. I know he's a hack. He doesn't care about what I think about him. He lied to the folks that support him. His blind fans, his blind supporters. That's who he lied to. And when we get back from these messages, I'm going to tell you exactly. So we'll be right back after these messages with that lying. Right back after these messages with that lying shit. And now a word from our sponsors.
Hi folks, Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Get the tea, your best defense.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now, you can get a hold of Subash Technosis by email at info@subashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing you narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow, shedding light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. What is going on? Okay, boy, look at that. My little mute button was stuck there. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. What were we talking about? Oh, that's right. We were talking about Lion Sean. Lion Sean Hannity. The one who, he's not lying to me. He's lying to his fans and his followers and his supporters. Now, if any of you, now I'm going to start saying you. He's lying to you, okay? I'm not going to say it's the entire audience. And now I'm just talking to this portion of the audience that are Trump supporters and Trump followers and think it's all a big nothing and there's no collusion and all this stuff. And Michael Cohen's a great attorney. And and I love this one right here. How about the one where they say, what is Stormy Daniels? What is sleeping with a porn star have to do with Russian collusion? What's that got to do with that? Tell me that, the young fella. Tell me. I'll tell you what. They both blackmailed Donald Trump. That's what they have to do with each other. Stormy Daniels took him for $130,000, and the Russians are taking him for the whole country. Okay? That's what. They're both sticking it to him. They're both blackmailing him. They both had dirt on him. You get it now. So I'm talking, I'm going to start saying you, and I'm talking to you, Sean Hannity fans. He's lying at you. Your man thinks you're stupid. He don't think I'm stupid. He thinks you're stupid. And he might be right, but he thinks you're stupid. Because what does he do now? We heard from Michael Cohen's attorney that Michael's attorney knew Friday night that he was going to have to come Monday morning and produce these names. And he said, well, my client, the famous one, since he doesn't want his name. That's Sean Hannity saying that. But Sean Hannity comes on the radio Monday morning, and in the middle of his show, they make this announcement that he was one of the clients. And he goes, oh, gee whiz, what's the big deal? Boy, the media's gone crazy about this, and I don't know anything. But perhaps I should prepare a statement, or maybe I should wait till the last 5 minutes of my news broadcast tonight and then make a statement to you. What? He didn't know? According to Michael Cohen's attorney, he was objecting. He had no statement prepared. He had no idea this was going to come out, and he had to say something, come up with a reason. He just plays it off like, well, this is a big nothing. If it's such a big nothing, why did he want it hidden? I never hired Michael Cohen. You know, one time we were passing. We were at the bus stop, and I was driving by, and I waved at him, and I said, "Hey, we got attorney-client privilege, right?" And he says, "Yeah, we do." But I never hired him, and he never sent me an invoice. I asked him a couple of questions. That's what he says the first day. It's a big nothing burger. How many times we heard that expression? Big nothing burger. I never hired him. He was never my lawyer. He never sent me an invoice. Occasionally, I would briefly speak to him, a quick little conversation there, right? Right? That's what he says the first. Then the next day, by the way, that's in complete contradiction with what Michael Cohen's attorney is saying. This is my client, and we need attorney-client privilege. We want our communications to get private, okay? No, he was never my attorney. Sean Hannity says he was never my attorney. I don't even know this guy. Michael who? Right? That's what he comes out and says. Because he thinks he's stupid. Okay? And he probably think, well, he must, I would love, if I was the judge in this case, I would say, well, Mr. Hannity, come into court, bring your lawyer, and Mr. Cohen, you come back into court, bring your lawyer, and one of you guys is lying. Okay? Is he your client or isn't he? He says he's not. You say he is. You said that he told you that he didn't want this in court. Who's lying to me here? Okay? Then he comes up the next day. Oh, yeah, we talked about real estate. I got real estate advice from Mr. Cohen there. And what I would do is I'd wink at him and I'd say, I think I might have thrown him $10 and said, hey, attorney-client, right? Attorney-client. It's attorney-client, right, isn't it? Right? So now he's saying the next day that whenever they would have one of these impromptu, non-billed conversations, these brief conversations, the conversations were so brief, but they weren't so brief that he would pull a $10 bill out of his pocket. And what an insult is that to give a lawyer $10? Okay. God. But he would pull a $10 and say, hey, this is attorney-client, right? Well, if it's just a real estate conversation, what do you need? What do you really need attorney-client privilege for? You're going to evict somebody? That's what is your, what advice could he have been given? Like, this guy's a snazzy real estate lawyer, and he's giving advice to Sean Hannity. This is a guy. The other two clients he's got. One of these things is not like the other. Sean Hannity's not like the other. He doesn't belong. He doesn't fit into this picture, does he? So he must think we're stupid. He must think anybody. But you hear people calling into their show, Sean, they're after you because you're telling the truth, and they're trying to set you up. And I predict another shoe will drop in the life of Sean Hannity. Now, last week, I came on here and I told you, I said, the most important thing that happened today was that McClatchy reported that they had proof that Michael Cohen had visited Prague. And in the Christopher Steele dossier, he talks about how Michael Cohen visited Prague as the fixer to clean up the mess and pay people off in cash to hide the fact that Flynn and Carter Page were over there in Russia. Or it might have been Manafort, I forget. Were over there doing dirty dealings with Russia. And Michael Cohen denies it. He says, well, look at my passport. I've never been there. Right? But we know Manafort had 5 passports. And then we find out that the Senate committee there, they're investigating this. He can't provide any proof of his whereabouts for that whole month. Okay, except that, well, he was in California for a couple of days. He was in New York for a couple of days. The rest of the month, he cannot provide. He can't do it. So since that time, see, when this first came out, when the BuzzFeed published the Steele dossier, Mr. Cohen was so outraged, and he showed his passport, and he says, look at every page on my passport. I'm going to photocopy it. I'm going to send it to you. Anybody can look at it. And I'm going to sue BuzzFeed for defamation, for lying about me. And I'm suing Fusion GPS for lying about me. Well, guess what? He's dropped that lawsuit. Now, he dropped that lawsuit after McClatchy's report. Okay, that's one thing. But he also dropped it after now, he's got feds raiding his office and carting away his stuff. Okay, it's okay. I would recommend, too, if someone had a criminal conviction hanging over their heads, he's facing like 30 years just for the bank fraud stuff. God knows what they're going to find there. And by the way, too, there's no one out there saying, we got the Trump's previous attorney, what's his name? I got it pulled up. Jay Goldberg comes out, and he says he's concerned that Michael Cohen is going to lie to prosecutors to get leniency. He's going to lie about Mr. Trump. Okay? No one says Michael Cohen's innocent of money laundering and all these crimes and bank fraud and all this stuff and paying people over and all this stuff he's doing. No one says he's innocent. They're just saying, well, is he going to flip on Trump and rat out Trump? Or is he going to keep silent and take the bullet like Sammy the Bull, was supposed to, or, like G. Gordon Liddy did, right? Like Pelicano did. Is he that kind of fixer? Is he a tough guy kind of fixer? Is he going to take the fall and go to prison? Okay. But no one says, well, there's nothing. What could he possibly have to incriminate Mr. Trump with? Mr. Trump doesn't commit any crimes. Mr. Trump doesn't commit Trump University con games and all that stuff, and the money laundering deals over there with Adnan Khashoggi. My God, can you imagine if they got the goods there in Michael Cohen's emails and phone messages about Adnan Khashoggi's activity with Trump? Oh, my God. What would we have then? We would have a fun summer, wouldn't we? We would. Anyway, so any credible, competent criminal attorney would tell Mr. Cohen, hey, you got lawsuits, you'll sue people for defamation, stuff like that. We don't want to go through discovery. We don't go through depositions because we have a federal case hanging over your head. You're facing 30 years. We got to wipe the state clean and all that. But it's interesting that he dropped that case not after the raid, but after the McClatchy story came out. So I told you last week that the biggest story to come out about Cohen was this whole thing about McClatchy and the passport, right? And proving that he was actually in Prague, right? Because that was like the one thing in the Steele dossier that was out there that was supposedly incorrect. And now that's done with. And now we just have some statements from Comey, too, talking about how, quoting Trump, saying how he was having conversations with Putin and they're talking about prostitutes. You know what I mean? Okay, that's the big P-gate thing, right? Seems to be now getting a little bit more credibility there, doesn't it? Right? And even, but there's a whole thing, too, about Trump lied. I said, wow, we didn't even stay. We just went back to the hotel room to stay there. We didn't even stay the whole night. I just went back to pick up my things and head back to the United States. But we know he was in Russia for at least 3 or 4 days. Okay? And even Keith Schiller, his bodyguard, said that he stayed out in front of Trump's room while Trump was inside sleeping, but he didn't stay there the whole night. Okay? So we got Trump lying again. Lying Trump. Lying Don. Hey, but okay, another thing came out this week. And that is a really good one, too. Another liar. Okay? Felix Sater. I mean, just a whole show about Felix Sater with Grant Stern. It's in the members section. Okay, I wish I could there's some good stuff in the member section that I wish I could play for you, for free. But I gotta have content. I gotta put good content in the member section as well too, in order to keep the funding for the show. So anyway, so you want to get into the member section? It's $60. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com. I'll give you $60. 13 months for $60. You get a great big deal. Or just go to oppermanreport.com and pay $6 a month, whatever you want to do. Now, Felix Sater is this Russian mobster. Has a criminal record. He attacked some guy with a margarita glass stem, and he stabbing this guy in a bar fight when he was a young man. And you know what it was about? I found out that was that Sater went over and tried to talk to this girl, and she shot him down. And then a few minutes later, she was sitting next to some guy talking to this guy. Some guy he didn't even know. He didn't even have a beef with this guy. He just went over and started stabbing with this glass. So, and then Sater was involved with a stock scam. He was ripping people off in the stock market. Like $30 million, And then he goes to work for Donald Trump. Trump organization. And they interviewed him recently. He did a little tour there. And by the way, he was also negotiating stuff with CIA and stuff. The guy was involved in a lot of stuff, man. But he goes on MSNBC and CNN, and they interview him. He does this little tour about 4 weeks back. And they ask him, well, how did you meet Donald Trump? How did you ever get connected with Donald Trump? You had this criminal background. You got these problems. How did you meet Mr. Trump? And he says, well, I rented an office space in Mr. Trump's building, and so we were in the same building. So one day I just went up there and I knocked on the door. I cold called him. And I says, hey, I'm an up-and-comer in the real estate market, and I want to do business with you. I want to talk to you. Just walked in there cold and knocked on the door. And Trump said, oh, I'd love to do business with you. Come on in here, Mr. Sater. Felix Sater, the name? Is that what your name is? Okay. You don't have any background in stabbing people, do you? No, Trump never asked questions like that. You don't have any stock fraud convictions, do you? By the way, he didn't even have to. He had like a $25,000 fine. What's this sentence for the stock fraud? This guy's got it made. So I'm watching this interview on MSNBC, and I said, this is a guy. And by the way, it came out earlier, too. He had made the expression. He said the statement. It was reported anyway. That he says, we're all going to prison. And Trump's going to prison. Right? But when I saw him, by the way, the one of the prosecutors he was cooperating with, and when he did his deal, there was one of these, Weinstein, this investigator on this whole Mueller thing. So he already knows these guys, which goes a long way, let me tell you. But what was it? What was I saying? Oh, yeah. They asked him, how do you know Mr. Trump, right? Turns out. Oh, and when I'm watching him being interviewed on MSNBC, right? Because they had said, this whole thing about how, he was going to get convicted and Trump was going to get convicted too. And I'm watching this guy being interviewed, and this is not a guy who's worried. This is a guy who's already talked to the prosecutors. He's already made his deal. He's very comfortable. He's very confident. He's a good talker, man. Sharp guy, okay? And this is a guy who knows the streets. He knows the courts. He knows the business. It was not over his head whatsoever in that interview. He dominated the interview. But he slipped up. Because when they asked him, well, how'd you meet Mr. Trump? He said, well, I went up there and I knocked on the door. We find out now that he was childhood friends with Michael Cohen. They were childhood friends. Michael Cohen and the mobster Felix Sater, the Russian mobster Felix Sater, who speaks Russian, by the way. Okay, fluently. And by the way, Michael Cohen's wife is Ukrainian. Okay. And her father's like a big shot Ukrainian guy, too. You notice a pattern here? Okay. All right. Now, Felix Sater is busted. He's busted lying about that, right? He thinks you're stupid. Okay. Like Lion Sean thinks you're stupid. Felix Sater thinks he's stupid, too. But when Felix Sater made that statement. Did Michael Cohen come out and say, hey, what's he talking about? Michael Cohen talks to the press all day long. What's he talking about? We've been childhood friends. I introduced him to Trump. But for some reason, they don't want you to know how he got hooked up with Trump. Had to be through Michael Cohen. But they don't want you to know that. And they think you're stupid. That's right. And you know what? I can't blame him for thinking you're stupid. Now I'm talking to the Trump fans and to the Hannity fans. Because you buy everything. Yeah, but how about this? Oh, my God. I got so much notes here. I don't even know if I can do all this, man. Hey. Let me look at the time over here. Oh, good. Time for a commercial break. Be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing you narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow, shedding light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subhash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find a link to Subhash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us.
People are waking up. They're standing up to those pushing pesticides and GMOs as safe alternatives for a starving world. What a bunch of crap! I tell you, I'd rather eat dirt. So I drink Life Change Tea. It's an herbal drink, cleansing my body of toxic sludge and nasty chemicals, and of course, ridding the intruders that are hidden in my so-called food. And by the way, Life Change Tea is non-GMO and organic. No fillers, no yuck. Just a great defense against you-know-what. May the supplement force awaken you. Don't fall to the dark side. Sorry. I went to the movies last night. Anyway, enough said. How do you get that herbal drink and change your life? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. You will awaken. You will get stronger, and you might even lose a bit of weight. So awaken to Life Change Tea and the many one-of-a-kind supplements at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. May the supplement force be with you.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report member section. In the member section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at OppermanReport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you can get a copy of my book. I want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us produce the show and book guests. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. Come on, get over here. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Come on, stop. There we go. Welcome back. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. And we're talking about Michael Cohen mostly. Poor guy. You know, I hate to see anybody go to prison. And guy got a family and stuff like that. He's been doing business like this his whole life. You know, this is what happens, man. You play, you got to pay. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Who said that? Mr. Beretta. All right. Okay, we're here. Go back to my notes. I'll put on a show for you. Oh, God, Zooks. Now, Felix Sater, you know, that whole thing. By the way, too, there was a whole other thing came out today. This DNC files a lawsuit. Oh, God, a 60-page complaint. I didn't even get a chance to read it. There's so much going on. You can't even read. Normally, when there's a big court case, I read the whole complaint. You have no time. I can't read this Michael Cohen stuff, and you can't. It's impossible. You can't keep on top of all this and be on the air and book guests and do all this kind of stuff like this. But it's kind of interesting because the DNC files this lawsuit against Trump and the RNC and the Russians they include in there. And oh my God. And the thing is, the other side is already saying this crackpot stuff that it's all the Democrats and Hillary. And by the way, I'm no Hillary fan whatsoever. You can go back and look. Google Opperman Report, Clinton crime family. I've done dozens and dozens of shows exposing the Clintons and their crimes. But now we got daily Trump news going on. I'm going to tell you about this. Now, it's interesting that it's just going to backfire. It's going to muddy up the waters, and it's going to make it look like that the Comey investigation and the Mueller investigation is just a politically motivated. And that's all the DNC are doing. They're shooting themselves in the foot as usual. And I hate to admit it because I was sort of part of the instigation of that first DNC lawsuit where the Jared Beck and Elizabeth Beck sued the DNC because of how Bernie was ripped off, And I kind of helped get that started because I kind of helped Nico House, get a platform and stuff like that, and got him on the radio and stuff. And then he went down in Miami and he hooked up with these two lawyers. But I got to tell you something. I was very disenchanted with the way that thing was going. These two lawyers, Jared and Elizabeth Beck, just were putting all kind of crazy things in their filings and their motions. The judge was taking it serious, and then they just went completely bonkers. I really wonder what happened there. I wouldn't trust them whatsoever any further. In fact, I blocked them on Facebook. They just started talking about chemtrails and tinfoil hats and just one crazy. Getting involved with nuts like George Webb. Are you kidding me? What kind of credibility do you have if you're going to be suing the DNC and you're getting involved with crackpots and lunatics? Give me a break, And Alex Jones, a bunch of nonsense. Hey, by the way, too, real quick, we have a show coming up with William Ramsey where we're talking about Bob Ruff and the West Memphis 3 and the Truth and Justice podcast, and poking holes through that nonsense. But then also, too, we switch the tables, and he actually interviews me about my friendship and my relationship with Art Bell, who just passed last week. In fact, tonight's show I was going to do just about Art Bell, give him like a little tribute. But I think I gave him a tribute with when William Ramsey interviewed me. And we'll be hearing that during the week coming up. And it's an interesting little format, too, because instead of me hosting the show, William Ramsey hosts and he interviews me. And he's a good friend of the show. He helped me produce the show, and he's a good guy. He's a lawyer. He helps me out. We have attorney-client privilege when we talk to each other. Every now and then, I hand him a $10 bill, and I say, attorney-client, right? And he says, oh, yeah. I says, hey, I got some porn star trying to shake me down. What do I do, William? He says, Ed, I can't help you. I gotta go. I don't want any part of it. You know, half the times I've tried to refer cases to William Ramsey, he says, Ed, I want no part of it. Okay. I said, all right, I'll find somebody else. I got a guy for that. Michael Cohen. That's how I'm going to go to it. I'm in trouble. All right, well, one latest thing that came out here, and then we'll wrap it up for today. Lion Sean. Going to wrap this up. And that is this. What a funny. Rudy Giuliani is coming out of a, he was a prosecutor down in the Southern District. And by the way, too, I was on the other side of the table. I was on the defense against Rudy Giuliani in several cases. So I've met Rudy Giuliani when he was the prosecutor, and I was on the defense team way back in the 80s. All his big the height of his career. Very angry, arrogant guy at the time. Very aggressive, very ambitious. His deputy was Michael Chertoff. And believe it or not, I didn't put two and two together and realize that Michael Chertoff was the same Michael Chertoff that was the Homeland Security guy. When I saw his name on a paperwork, I would call him Cardiff. Okay, I said, I got Cardiff, And but then I put it all together just recently. It's kind of bizarre. And then later on, too, I met Rudy Giuliani several times in a social setting through Bo Dietl, and stuff like that. Years later, when I was in the nightclub business in New York City, I was a man about town, bopping around, and he was a charming guy, fun guy to hang out and have drinks with. And I even believe too that when I sent over, I was contacted once through Roger Stone through an intermediary, and they wanted some contact information for him. And I says, hey, why don't you check out all my anti-Hillary YouTube videos? And I sent them over. And Rudy Giuliani would have recognized my name. I know he would recognize my name if he saw it. And because he knew my name when we met years later. And so he would see that if he listened to those shows, because he was on a plane with Trump. I believe it's Trump, because I watched the rallies. Trump was going right through my playlist, talking about all the stuff, the Clinton Foundation, all the stuff I was talking about. So anyway, but now Trump is bringing him on as part of his legal defense team in this Mueller special prosecutor investigation. Now, I got a question for you Trump supporters, who have this kind of theory going on that Trump's any day now is going to round up and arrest. By the way, there was a criminal referral. Someone in the Senate sent the criminal referral over against Hillary and all this stuff like that, and Obama, whatever it was, this whole nonsense. So all the people out there that are just waiting, these QAnon fans who are just waiting for Trump to rounding these people up and arresting them and whatever. Oh, well, now you got the referral. Let's see what happens. Okay, you think your man's doing this? He's going to send him to FEMA camp. He's going to send him to Gitmo. They've got people think that they have ankle monitors on their ankles. Okay, they say this stuff for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then nothing happens. Well, it just goes away. Nobody talks about it anymore. But let me ask you a question: all you Trump fans, right, who now see Rudy Giuliani back on the scene here, how come? If Trump, you're all 9/11 truthers, right? Well, what about Rudy Giuliani's involvement in 9/11? You're trying to tell me that he wouldn't know if something shady went on in 9/11? He's not talking about it? He must be on the other side of that issue. And what about Trump's rounding up the pedophiles? He's going to arrest all the pedophiles and all that nonsense. Rudy Giuliani's the one who gave the green light, the clean hands to Michael Aquino at the Presidio daycare. He's the special prosecutor that went in there and investigated that and says, nothing's going on here. I see nothing. Nothing. That's what Rudy Giuliani said. So you guys, in your fantasy that Trump's about to round up pedophiles and all the Democrats are pedophiles and Trump's going to arrest them and put them in Gitmo and all that nonsense. What? Where is it? We got Giuliani, the Presidio whitewash, and the 9/11 stooge by his side there. And I got another question for you guys. All you QAnon followers, people who don't have no idea who QAnon is, you got to go to 4chan, and there's an anonymous poster by the name of Q who claims that he has top-level Department of Energy clearance, and he hands out clues and little secret hints and like a fortune cookie. Like when you open up a fortune cookie and it says, something good will happen tomorrow. Right? So Q will write something like, boom, boom, boom. right? And then like a month later, there'll be like a bombing on a plane. They say, oh, Q was right. He predicted the bombing on the plane. He said, boom, boom, boom. Remember? Okay? Nonsense like that. And then he'll just write this stupid thing that trust the plan. God bless America. These people are so stupid. Over and over, same nonsense over and over. But if he was really a whistleblower and he had some kind of inside information, just like Snowden or WikiLeaks, he could just come right out and say it in perfectly normal English without the little stupid clues, okay, like he's dripping out. But how come Mr. QAnon, with all his top secret inside Scooby-Doo information, why doesn't he ever mention 9/11 and say, hey, boom, 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 here's the clues, here was who was behind 9/11, okay? Why doesn't he? Why not? This is the guy with all the answers. Why not? How come he didn't know what was in the Comey memo, the memo? They released the memo. This memo is gonna be earth shattering, and the cats and dogs gonna be having sex with each other. Or frogs gonna be raining down from the sky when the memo was released. Hillary's going to prison with the memo. What happened? How come QAnon didn't know what was in the memo? And how come QAnon doesn't say nothing about 9/11? And how come QAnon didn't know that Giuliani was coming on board? He knows all the top secrets. He's got Trump's ear and Trump's following QAnon, right? What could it be? That QAnon is a big fat hoax? Could that be it? Could that be it? Is that a possibility? Will you at least give me that it's a possibility that you're being trolled like a bunch of children, okay? All right? And that the whole QAnon thing is utter nonsense, okay? And what I'm hearing too, there's some other stuff. He says that the earth is hollow, you can believe it, all this stuff. But people just want to believe this fantasy. They just want to believe, man, that, oh, no, Trump's not a buffoon. He's not a con man. He loves me. Trump would never con me. Well, just think, didn't the students who signed up and paid $30,000 for Trump University, didn't they think Trump was a smart guy that was going to help them and going to make them rich? And what happened? He stole their money. And he had to give back $25 million. Every penny he earned from that scam, phony university, he had to give back to the suckers he stole it from. Right? I'm sure there's one or two of them that still love Trump. And still think he's going to arrest all the pedos. And still think he's going to make America great again. Right? All right? But you know what they are? They're suckers. They're just suckers. They're sad people who bought magic beans, okay? And now they're stuck. Their cow's gone, okay? Because they sold their mother's cow. And now they don't have a cow or milk or cheese, okay? And that's how you'll wind up. Anyway, if you like this show, check out OppermanReport.com. We have great new content in there. Just added a show by Chappaquiddick with Mike Rothmiller. He went in, got a bunch of top secret Freedom of Information Act documents, and put it together in a book. And I had him on the show for an hour. It's in the member section. Another great show I did with Grant Stern is in the member section about Felix Sater. We really get into depth with that. It's all hours worth on Felix Sater. OppermanReport.com. If you want a discount, contact me directly at OppermanReport@gmail.com. I'll give you a discount on the member section. $60 for 13 months. You get 13 months. And I'll even give it the rest of this month, too. I'll give you another 10 days. 13 months and 10 days. For $60, and that'll really help pay the bills, okay? Because then, like last month we had a disaster. I was deeply in the red, and a lot of great donations. A lot of people stepped forward, but all that money went to Cox Cable and to the U.S. Bank to pay the overdrafts. And it didn't go to support the show. If you want to keep the show on the air, you gotta send in these become members. And we need memberships, man. And then buy that damn tea. Okay, I need you to go out and buy it. I know I'm gonna stay on the air until you buy tea. We should have a marathon here one night. And just buy tea. And we'll just sit around and drink that tea and stay awake for days. We'll lose so much weight, we'll drift away to nothing. By the way, I'm thinking of doing some before and after pictures, starting where I am right now, because I'm still losing. But I got a picture of me, man, back when I was taping there with Hank Harrison in California a couple of years back. And, man, I'm sitting in this motel room drinking a beer. I look so fat and disgusting. You got to see this, man. I'm way down from that. But even the pictures I have right now, I know in a month from now I'm going to look better than this. So I may do some before and after pictures if I get some new memberships. And I'll put it in the members section. How's that, you bums? That's the only way you're going to see them. Some semi-nude photographs of Ed Opperman. Anyway, I'm going to get kicked off the air. I keep going on like this. So thank you so much. Oh, I got that sad music. I forgot to do it tonight. Okay, we'll do it next week. Hey, it's been a rough day, guys. Okay, I'm doing the best I can. But thank you so much for joining the show. OppermanReport.com. Member section's been updated. Tomorrow we have William Ramsey. And first I interview him about Bob Ruff and the Truth and Justice broadcast about the West Memphis 3. Got a show coming up with Cutter Wood about some murders down there in Florida. 2 another true crime guests. Oh, and I got a really big guest coming up. A rock and roll author coming up this next week. Talking about Sid and Nancy.